Hello there everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Unlimited video. I was not planning on recording a video this week. I am currently in Salt Lake City in Utah for a convention for my favorite author, so I had pre-recorded stuff, I had a deck profile that was going to go up, and honestly in the time I'm recording this may accidentally go up. I'll need to stop that. Dude, they just dropped like a set 4 spoiler preview on us out of nowhere. We haven't even had set 3 for like a month, I swear. But this is crazy. I wasn't gonna make a video on it, and then I went and I had a look and I read, and I was like, no, I need to make a video on this. This is like insanely cool. So let's get into it. With the release of Twilight Republic, the first year has come to a close. This party is only just getting started. It's time to turn our gaze to the stars because a new set is on the horizon, and this time it's all about space. So, interestingly, I think if you spoke to basically anyone, the speculation for this set was, oh, they're going to have leaders that deploy to space, and that's not quite true. But it's not that far off. We have 2 new leaders we're going to be talking about. So one announcement to get out of the way is 2-player starters are being sunsetted, and instead we're just going to be getting spotlight decks, which are the same thing. It's just like 1 deck per. Cool. I think that's better for everyone. Honestly, it's much easier to convince your mate to spend £10 or £15 on 1 starter deck that comes with everything they need, especially if you've already got one. Than it is for them to buy like a whole 2-player starter. But yeah, I mean, functionally, whatever. Right, let's talk about cards. That's what you guys are here for. So we have our first new leader here. This is a starter deck leader. This is Boba Fett. Any methods necessary. So we have a new Boba Fett. This one is red and black. So we're going to go through all the colors. So our next Boba Fett will obviously be blue. So this says, when you deal non-combat damage, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. So indirect damage is a new damage type, and I guess I would say a new mechanic in this set. So indirect damage is a player that is unpreventable and is dealt amongst base and enemy and units, right? So you always get the damage. I think so. It's kind of like, it's a very versatile form of damage in that sense, but obviously the downside is your opponent gets to choose where it goes. You're never going to be able to exactly snipe unless you set up... I mean, you basically never will be able to, because your opponent can always put the damage just on their base, right? And so depending on the matchup, this type of damage is going to be better or worse. But the sort of elephant in the room that you'll be staring at right now on your screen is, yes, Boba Fett comes out onto the ground as a 6-cost 4/7, but instead, you can deploy the leader as an upgrade on a friendly vehicle unit without a pilot on it. And this says, and then the attached unit will be treated as a leader unit, which is huge. And then when deployed as an upgrade, deal up to 4 damage divided as you choose amongst any number of units. And this is +4/+4. So you're going to take anything you have on the board, and it only needs to be a vehicle for you to upgrade it. So there are some ground units still fulfill that, like for example, Reinforcement Walker. And the idea of a 10-13 Reinforcement Walker that's treated as a leader is pretty sensual. But so that's the trade-off you're making, right? Like you need to have something there to upgrade. But as a result, you're going to buff whatever it is by +4/+4, which is massive. You know, that's Darksaber. It's better than Darksaber. And this is free. You're turning it into a leader, which means it's only going to get removed by something like Rival's Fall, and you're getting that immediate on play of just assigning 4 damage, so you're probably just nuking something. This is really strong, and like the really obvious situation I see here is like this is like you are just going to play this as a triple dark raid deck to start, right? Like we know that's good. We have so many insane targets, right? Like the idea of turning your Ruthless Raider into an 8/10 or like your Lurking Tie into a 6/6 is just ridiculous. So yeah, I expect this to be very competitive right out the gate. And yeah, this is really good. Okay, so then we've got a couple of new cards here as well. But let's just quickly talk about this new mechanic, which is the pilot keyword. So pilot is no, I guess we'll see that in a second. Okay, so then let's talk about Bosk. So you can see this here. So Bosk is and I'll just hover over it for the next ones. Maybe that's better. So this is a 4-cost yellow-black 4/4 on attack. Exhaust the defender and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit. So that isn't great, but piloting. So you pay 2 and yellow-black. +2/+2, and the attached unit gains on attack, exhaust the defender, and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit. And this is exactly the same as a normal sort of pilot ability, so you just need to pay that cost and you attach it as an upgrade, and as long as the unit doesn't have a pilot already, this is going to go on it. I'm really high on a card like this, because one of the biggest issues with upgrades is they could just sit dead in your hand, right? Like if you didn't have a unit to upgrade. And piloting is a pretty niche form of upgrading that is very much like made a lot more viable by the fact that you don't, like, you can now just play them as a unit. So I think this is like a really competitive mechanic for sure. And then we've got a couple other cards here. So we've got no disintegrations. This is a 3 and a red-black. Deal damage to a non-leader unit equal to 1 less than its remaining HP. And of course, if we look at the Boba effect, when you deal non-combat damage, you can exhaust deal unpreventable damage. So like in theory, it can kill anything, but obviously a lot of the time your opponent will just be assigning that damage to themselves. So the preferred combo will be with Hunting Aggressor potentially, which boosts all indirect damage to your opponents by 1. This card is probably going to be quite good. This is a 4-cost 3/6. So like, you know, that's really good stats. Let's not sleep on that. And the idea of, like, you play this and then potentially the next turn, like, you can deploy an upgrade onto it and make it super beefy and treat it as a leader is really, really scary. But yeah, I think this card's actually going to be quite good. And then we have Zagirian Starhopper. There's a 2-cost yellow-black 2/3. When defeated, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. I think this is also quite strong. Like 2/3 is not ideal, but like, you know, in space, that's not the worst, and you get a pretty decent payoff potentially. I don't know, but we're in set 4, so it probably won't see play, but it's not bad. And then of course this is the big card I want to talk about on the villain side here. Fett's Fire Spray. This is a 4-cost black at 4/4 underworld vehicle transport traded. When played and on attack, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. If you control Boba Fett, instead deal 2 indirect damage, and that's going to be every time you attack and when you play. And that can add up really, really fast. So obviously ECLing this guy in, right? You're going to sit there and you're going to go, oh, cool. I'm going to burn 4 damage to my opponent and nuke one of their things. Or I'm just going to board clear, right? Like your opponent, the ball is kind of in their court, but you are very much going to be able to engineer situations where like you're either pushing them closer to just death or they are going to lose their board. And I think either of those are going to be good. I suspect like this will be indirect damage is going to be very, very good. There's a sort of aggro tool. Where you kind of put your opponent in a situation where it's not great either way. Whereas if you're like a control deck, I'll just take the damage to my face. Thanks. Okay, then we get our second leader here, which is Han Solo. So yeah, a really iconic pairing for these starters. So this is yellow-white, and I think this is much cooler and probably much worse. So action, tap. Reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with a unit. If the revealed card and that unit have different odd costs, that unit gains +1/+0 for the attack. So the idea of having just a generic pump like on your units is obviously quite good, and this isn't very action intensive because it takes the same amount of actions. The downside is your deck building is now going to be massively skewed because you basically just have to play only odd units if you want this to be reliable. And that is going to be a bit awkward because in that sense, I'd kind of prefer if this costed like 1 or something and then buffed by 3 or 2, in which case I think it would be much better. But let's talk about the deploy size. So it comes out on 5 as a 3/7. So like, let's just, I mean, you know, let's talk about that because that's good. Like that's very, very good. And then the attached unit is a leader unit, and when it deploys an upgrade, for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost ready a resource. So this is incredibly strong, right? Like the idea of potentially just, you know, untapping 5 and being able to like have a Boba style flip turn is crazy. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like you don't need to untap 5, but like untapping like 1, 2, or 3 is going to be very meaningful. In potentially what you're able to do, and I think we're going to see some very Boba-like sequencing with this deck, and I'll be very, very interested to see how this plays. Like I'm super, super excited about this. Of course, we have some support cards for this deck. So firstly, we have Millennium Falcon. This is a 3-cost white, so our third Millennium Falcon of the game. And he's a 3/4. You may play 1 or deploy 1 additional pilot onto this unit, and this unit gains +1/+0 for each pilot on it. So this unit can get very, very big, very, very fast. And I'm going to show you now, I think, probably the best card that's been revealed. So this is Chewbacca, 5-cost 5/6, green and white. This unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. So like that's really strong. Let's not sleep on that, right? It's a 5/6 that just your opponent has to kind of deal with, right? They have to attack into it. And I think one of the biggest issues with 5 costs was, well, okay, we kind of have to ECL this in or get some immediate value. This might be a 5 cost. We are happy letting, like, just playing because the opponent's not going to have a great out to it. Like, they are just going to have to attack into it, and at that point, maybe this is worth playing. But I think much more compelling is the fact that it's also piloting. So it's 3 +3/+3, and the attached unit gains. This unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities, and that is insanely strong, right? So like if you play the Falcon and you crew up the Falcon with Chewbacca, you're making the Falcon a 7/7 right, that can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities. Like, that's crazy. We're talking about, like, huge numbers there. And, you know, this is probably going to be quite easy, right? Because you can imagine on a flip turn in the Han deck, you play Millennium Falcon, and potentially you play, like, the old one. But, like, you play the new one, you deploy out Han, you untap the Falcon. I actually don't know if you untap. That's the one question I have. Like, are you going to be able to untap when you deploy? Well, okay, hold on. Let me. So you need one other unit out. I was processing. Okay, so you need one other unit out. You play the Falcon. You deploy Han. Untap the Falcon. Untap one resource because you have two different odd-numbered costs. Oh wait, no, it counts itself, right? Yeah, it counts itself. So you don't even need another unit. So you untap the unit. You untap a resource, so now you have 3 resources left over. You can then crew him up with Chewbacca, and suddenly this Falcon is a 10-14. Like, that's crazy. I think, actually, no, sorry. Upon reading Han properly, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. Because, yeah, for each friendly unit, and they don't even need to be different. Oh, this is going to be so strong. Okay, I'm very high on this. I'm very, very high on this. We also have a couple extra new cards here. We've got Never Tell Me the Odds, which is 3 cost yellow white. Discard 3 cards from an opponent's deck and 3 cards from your deck. Deal damage to a unit equal to the number of cards with an odd cost discarded this way. I think this is going to be more usable in like a mill strategy than like for removal, but it's a cool card to have. Then Death Space Skirmisher. This is a 3 cost 3/3. When played, if you control another space unit, you may exhaust a unit. Kind of mid. And then Tandem Assault, attack with a space unit. If you do, attack with a ground unit, and that ground unit gains +2/+0 for this attack. And then there's some stuff here on Carbonite Edition, and I guess we'll just quickly talk about what... So this is the same number of cards in a booster pack, except in the Carbonite Editions, every single card is going to be either Foil, Hyperspace, Hyperspace Foil, Showcase, or a brand new Carbonite Edition exclusive Prestige variant. And we're going to see more about this as we get closer to the time. But yeah, that's the news. Jump to Lightspeed coming soon. I am super excited for this. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe to the channel for lots more Star Wars Unlimited content, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Cheers.